In this video, I'll show you how to export the highlights that you've made in your ebook to a digital notes app. And the reason we want to do this is as long as those highlights are stuck in your e-reader, they're not much use to you. You can't edit them, you can't annotate them, you can't further summarize them. Really, they're just kind of stuck there. So before we go on to the next steps, we need to extract or export all of your highlights, which you can do all at once to one document in your Notes app, or really anywhere else that you want to keep them. So let's take a look at what this looks like. I recommend waiting until you're finished with the whole book. That way you're not going back and forth between different apps. Just read the book from beginning to end, and then you can do this export process in one step. Now there's two options. There's the free option and then there's the paid option. As usual, the free option requires a couple extra steps, while the paid option is a little bit easier. But you can really use either one. So let me show you what this looks like. Let's do the free option first. The free option is called Booksition. So go to a new window and type in Booksition, which is spelled like that. It's kind of like incision, except instead of in, you have book, Booksition. Go ahead and do a search. It'll be the first result. You can click that right there. You can see here there's an explanation, but let me show you how it works. Here's the instructions on the right side. The way you're going to do it is dragging this button right here to your bookmarks bar. So this looks different in different browsers, but on Chrome, you just go to View and click Always Show Bookmarks Bar, and it will show this bar right here. Then just get this rectangle and drag it right there. You see it creates a new little shortcut called Booksition. The next step is to log in at read.amazon.com, which is a website that Amazon provides with all of your different books that you purchased for Kindle. So I'm going to right click on that and click New Tab. If you're not already logged into Amazon, you'll need to log in. And you can see here on the left are all the different books in my Kindle library. So I could click any one of these and it would show me on the right all my notes and highlights. So this is kind of one centralized place that Amazon provides that you can access all your highlights. So this is the most recent book that I was accessing, of course. So you can see the book here. The previous title was called Everything in Its Place, but the new title is Work Clean. So you can kind of get a look at this. Great, so let's go here and just click Booksition. So it takes a minute to load the highlights, and you can see it creates this kind of overlay page, which presents those same highlights just in a cleaner format, right? So this is really just the text and then the location, which is super useful for you to be able to find where that highlight occurs in the book. So what are the options here? There's a few of them. You can just click copy to clipboard. The issue is you have to have Flash Player installed. Flash Player is this older plugin that used to be kind of universal, but these days is not installed on most browsers by default. And there's even some security risks, so I prefer to not install that. So what you can do then is click on download, and you can download in three formats. Plain text is the simplest. Or even simpler, actually, you could just copy them directly from this page. Just start at the bottom, go to the top, right click, copy, and then I'm going to go over to Evernote. You can also do this in any other Notes app. Go to my inbox, new note, and I'll just paste it right there. Okay, you can see there's a little bit of messiness, a little bit of formatting. One thing you can do in Evernote is click Format, Simplify Formatting, and it kind of cleans it up a little bit. There's some spacing issues, but at least you have the full text here. Actually, let's do an experiment and see what this would look like to download the plain text version, which we downloaded here. And I'm going to copy this, go over to Evernote, and let's see how it compares. Okay, that's a bit cleaner. Okay, so we'll keep this one and delete the other one. Okay, so you can see there's the title and the author here. I'm going to put that in the title of the note. maybe put the author here. So you can see there's a little bit of cleanup, a little bit of copying and pasting and changing some of the formatting that's required. And that's typical of free tools. Usually they kind of ask you to take some manual steps. But really this is it. This is the full note. You can see it's fully searchable. You have all the locations in case you need to find more context for one of these quotes. But this note contains a full, let's see how many words, 9,000 words that I've exported. That's going to be extremely useful for when we go on to the next steps of summarizing. So that was the free option. Now I want to show you what it looks like to use the paid option. Okay, so the tool that I use, let's go back to the browser, is called Readwise, which is at readwise.io. This is an app, a service that was created specifically to solve this kind of problem, how to get your ebook and article highlights out of wherever you found them and into a place that you control. So I'm going to go ahead and sign in. And once you sign in, you'll see the dashboard. This is kind of like the HQ of everything for Readwise. And actually, Readwise has a lot of features. They're kind of things that you discover over time because there's so many of them. You can browse your notes and highlights, of course. You can see popular highlights that other people have made. You can use tags and favorite certain ones. You can share your favorite highlights with friends and coworkers. You can have flashcards. You can export to a couple different popular apps. There's a lot of stuff here. But the main thing that I use Readwise for, which easily justifies the costs, which is somewhere between $5 and $10 a month, is the syncing of my highlights. So basically, there's a couple buttons here that you could explore to see what this looks like, but this actually happens completely in the background. So completely in the background, Readwise is syncing my highlights, which you would find more information about here. So basically, it's detecting new highlights that are being made by me on a Kindle ebook. It's syncing those to Readwise. It's pulling them into Readwise. Then it's also automatically doing this, which is exporting them to Evernote. It's doing those two things continuously in the background without my involvement. And what this looks like, let's head back over to Evernote, is there's a dedicated notebook, which is called, I believe, Readwise. And this is a notebook that all my highlights from different, not just ebooks, but articles that I highlight through an app called Instapaper automatically get sent here. It's kind of like my own personal library that every time I come into here, there's new highlights that I've made somewhere. So you can see here is the book that we're currently focused on. This note was created completely automatically in the background. Like I said, I didn't have to do anything. And the cool thing too is, sometimes you stop reading a book at some point and then you pick it up later. Readwise is smart enough to find wherever that note is located, even if you move it to a different notebook, and even if you change the title. It recognizes kind of the unique ID of the note, and it will continue adding highlights whatever time in the future that you decide to continue reading this book. So it's really quite powerful. And so you can see it's kind of the same result, actually even more orderly and neat without me having to do anything. And that's really what you pay for with a service like Readwise. And that is how I export my highlights from the ebooks that I read into my Notes app.